So I'm Mike Borgo, Waddell & Reed. We're a full-service investment firm founded in 1937. I've been an advisor now coming up on 26 years. Just going to talk today basically about what I do in very, very broad terms as far as financial planning. Financial planning is kind of like the seasons that we have in life: winter, spring, summer, and fall. There's 4 real seasons of financial planning. So thus our presentation is called A Plan for All Seasons. Okay, important disclosures. Let me try to focus that a little bit better. There we go. Important disclosures. So basically, there's no advice given here today. If you invest, obviously, there's no guarantee of making money. You can lose money. That's basically what's covered with the important disclosures. So what is financial planning? So for financial planning, you have these factors: cash flow, risk management, accumulation and investment, income tax, retirement, and estate planning. So these are all facets when you go through life, when you go for financial planning. Obviously, for businesses, cash flow is very important. As far as what you're looking for, you want to have cash flow for your business. Risk management, that's where I come into play. You want to invest your money according to your age, according to your investment goals. So I will talk to you, find out what you're looking for, find out what your risk tolerance is, and we will invest that accordingly. Accumulation and investment, income tax, very important. Obviously, you take a look at the national debt right now. We're approaching $30 trillion. I don't see anything on the horizon as far as tackling the national debt. There's a $2 trillion COVID relief plan about to go through, and we definitely need COVID relief. I'm not trying to be political here in any fashion, but just like anything else, you're probably going to have to pay for that someday. So I have concerns going down the road in the future as far as that goes. Retirement and estate planning. So let's move forward. Okay, the certainty of uncertainty. Okay, I found my glasses. Maybe I'll see a little better. Okay, perfect. The certainty of uncertainty. So we move forward. Okay, a turbulent period for investors. So this is basically from 1970, this is about when I came into the world, 1972, all the way up until, this goes to 2018, but if you just put a line and go up in the air, that's 2019 and 2020. So if you take a look here, the 70s, you have the Arab oil crisis. The market didn't do so hot in the 70s. You had the Arab oil crisis. Everything pretty much stayed the same there. You know what was really great in the 1970s? CDs. You're getting a double-digit return. Why be in the stock market when you can get double-digit returns in the CDs? So a lot of people went into CDs. The thing that also, we have mortgage, Melinda, in mortgages. What was the average mortgage rate in 1978, 1979? 15%. Okay, so the 70s were kind of a drag with the stock market. The 70s were kind of a drag with your mortgage payment, but forget about that. There was disco, so let's forget about all that. I'm just kidding, disco's fine. Okay, so moving forward, we get into the 80s. So,
most of them don't know that, Mike, but I do.
So we get into the 80s.
It's all about the talk.
There's a little bit of more optimism in the 80s. The market does really well. Now we get to 1987. Okay, the market was really flying high. And in 1987, this is the first time, like the only thing I ever knew about the stock market is my dad had stock in Mattel. He was obsessed with this company. He loved this company. He's like, we're going to get rich on Mattel stock. So it was cool because he bought all the Intellivision games. Like they had a lot of electronics. So I remember Black Monday. The market declined in 11 trading days, 32%. Think about that. Can you imagine the panic? I mean, we've had some scary things happen, certainly. But can you imagine in 11 days, the market right now, the stock market's at 31,000 a Dow. Can you imagine in 11 days it dropping to almost under 20,000? I mean, there was a lot of panic that set in. You take a look, just like with long term, if you sold out at the bottom and panicked, and I know sometimes when you see the news and everything, it's hard not to do this, but if you held on, you made that money back in a few years. So we move forward. We're into the 90s. This is when I came into the business. I was a stockbroker. You know, I sold all the internet stocks and I did all this stuff, and you know, it was a lot of fun. Everything was great. Wow, this is so easy. You know, that everything was going up and up and up. People were making like 20% in a couple of days. Everything was wonderful. And then we had a bubble called the .com. And these internet companies that were making a lot of money, people finally figured out, well, they're doing their operations on a credit card. They're not making any money. So everything kind of crashed. And and then unfortunately we had 9/11. That was horrible. So this was a time where there were 3 down years in the market. We get back up, the market recovers. So we get to, this is 2001, not doing so great with the stocks, everything kind of went down. So when you're an advisor, companies like Federated, they had a great building in downtown Pittsburgh, they're probably still there. But they had a meeting, mutual fund managers would give their speeches. Everybody wants you to buy their mutual funds. So everybody's like, oh, the market's doing great, this is great, the market's gonna be fine, don't worry about it, we're gonna get out of this. And then one guy basically said, the market's not great. The only thing that got us out of this mess and why we're coming back is a consumer used the equity in their home to get us out of the recession. And he said, one day, that's gonna end. And he goes, when that happens, you're gonna see a reckoning that'll make this look like, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, like a picnic in the park. And I really didn't like this guy. I had a steak and I got indigestion after talking to him. I was really down about it, but he was right. In 2008, we had the credit crisis. And that was basically just like a bubble. People were getting mortgages. If they could fog up a mirror, like, I want to get a mortgage. Hey, you're approved. And that was going on. So eventually in California, not so much in Pennsylvania, the housing prices pretty much stayed the same. People are more experts on that than me. But in California, Nevada, those places, my house in Monroe, that's worth maybe like $120,000, was going for over $1 million in California. Finally, people figured out, well, we're not going to pay that. And then the whole bubble crashed. And then all of these mortgages crashed. And all these Wall Street firms like Bear Stearns, like Lehman Brothers, they all bet the farm on these collateralized debt obligations. So this was an extremely scary time. I know we've gone through a lot of scary events here in the last year with the COVID-19. But there was a point around September 17th or 18th of 2008. Not too many people know this. Okay, we got to the point where you saw a firm, Bear Stearns, which has been around since the Civil War, Lehman Brothers, they both failed within a week of each other. This is like a major part of the financial system. And literally, what caused the Great Depression was a run on the banks. Okay, the financial system, we're only as strong as your confidence in us. If all of you wanted to take your money out at the same time, we're done, because nobody has the money. People go in the false belief that, well, if I hold on to this, the bank's going to take care of my money. They're doing other things with it. And around September 17th, September 18th, there was a lot of demand where people were just taking money out of money markets, out of money markets, out of money markets. The Fed had to step in and inject it. We came very, very close that day to go into our ATM machines and not having money. And if that would have happened, the whole economy as we knew it would have crashed. So, not trying to be a downer, that's where we were. So to put it in perspective, we have come out of that. The market's moved up. This goes up to 2018. The market was down, but if we could move forward, 2019, 2020, we're up here. Okay, so the market's at an all-time high. The Corona crash, the market went down. The market seems to like that there's a lot of stimulus. The market seems to like that the vaccines, anything that can obviously kill the virus, is a positive as far as the stock market goes. So moving forward, good years are tending to follow bad. This is just a follow-up on that. So when you're investing, I kind of went through this, but here's a period. This was the dot-coms. This was the only time the market was down 3 years in a row. This was 2000, 2001, and 2002. Usually the market comes flying back. Even in 2008, how horrible that was. 2009 bounced back, 2010. We've had mostly good years. If you think about it, you can think about the bear markets. You can think about the disasters, the financial crisis, the dot-com bust, 9/11. But most of the time, the market's doing fairly decently. Financial emergencies. Now this is getting more into your personal situation. Do you have a plan for the unplanned? A rainy day fund, important piece of the puzzle. A loose roll is about 6 months of expenses you should have as far as a rainy day fund for when the transmission breaks, which I think mine's about to. Retirement. Only 23% are very confident that they can live comfortably in retirement. 42% have tried to calculate how much savings they will need. 6 in 10 say debt is a problem. 8 in 10 expect to work to pay for retirement. So that's where we're at. And this is before COVID-19 when this presentation was made. Protection planning. 2 out of 3 people believe life insurance is the key to financially caring for their family. 7 in 10 workers say they couldn't last a month without pay before financial difficulties set in. And this is a huge one, and this is one that a lot of people, you need to prepare for, but a lot of people don't do it. 7 in 10, age 65 and plus, will enter a nursing home. The average nursing home cost in Pennsylvania right now, the last figure I heard is about $85,000 a year. So, if you're lucky. I mean, so that's something to really prepare for. You could do everything right. You can have $500,000, $1 million nest egg for retirement. You go into that nursing home, it can really eat into it very quickly. Where do I begin? Benefits of planning. With a comprehensive, customized financial plan, you're in a better position to determine appropriate strategies and solutions, make informed financial decisions, stay on track to achieve your goals. Purpose of planning: set realistic financial and personal goals. If you come to me and say, I want to be Elon Musk by the end of the year, well, that's probably not, a realistic goal. But let's set a goal where you can grow toward retirement. Assess current financial health. Sometimes that's hard. You got to take a look at where you're at as far as that goes. Develop a realistic, comprehensive plan. Become proactive in achieving your goals. Most importantly, stay on track. Our lives are so busy. We're doing so many things, and you're going to get expenses, you're going to get bills, and a lot of times it's hard to set aside money away in a SEP IRA if you have a new transmission you got to get. But it's hard to stay on track, but that's my purpose. Plan for all seasons. So here we go. Accumulation phase, pre-retirement, retirement, and legacy. Just like the 4 seasons that we have, we got the 4 seasons of financial planning. Okay, so accumulation. This is age 25 to 50, and this is just rough. That doesn't mean I got to stop accumulating after 50. This is just kind of the rough goals. You know your own situation. So 25 to 50, accumulation, marriage, didn't happen for me. Purchasing a home, that's a big deal. Building a career, reducing debt. Okay, so obviously you got school loans when you're going to school, credit card debt. Maybe in your 20s you had a little too much fun, so you start trying to pay that off. Raising children, most importantly, and funding college. So I work with you as far as finding plans to do that, like a 529 plan for college, as far as that goes. Concerns. How much house can I afford? So we have a lot of great specialists here that can help you with that. Deb, Melinda, they can help you. How much house do I need to afford? Obviously, you might want to have the dream house that people have on Facebook, and so you can get a lot of Facebook likes and everything, but can you afford that? Because what caused the 2008 financial crisis? People got a house that was huge that they couldn't afford, and when a mortgage is reset, they said, this thing went down in value, I'm just going to walk away. Why would I want to stay this? So it's important. And how much emergency reserve you need, we kind of covered that already. Rough figures, like 6 months. How much and what type of insurance do I need? Extremely important. If you're young and you have a family, and God forbid if your primary wage earner passed away and you're going to lose a lot of income, well, you might want to take a look at term insurance to make sure that there's an immediate estate. $500,000 goes where they can replace that income. When you get older, there's different things you can do with life insurance. I'm not going to get into specific things. We can talk about it more if you'd like to. College funding options available. I just talked about 529 plans. Should I pay off debt or save for retirement? So there's a lot of issues that you have as far as that goes. Obviously, if you have $100,000 on credit cards, you probably should pay that off as soon as possible. If you have low interest debt, maybe you put some more money away for retirement. So it's all individual, up to you. So we're moving forward. Okay, so you get to 25 to 50. You did all the things right. You set aside a retirement plan. You worked hard in your business. You worked hard in your jobs. Your money's growing, so you're at 50. So you've done a lot of great things in your life. You got a great job, things are going well. You're age 50 to retirement. Children starting to fly off away out of the nest. You're at the peak earnings and career potential, so you've been in your job for a long time. You're doing great. Your business is doing awesome. You're setting money aside. Hopefully you're getting excess cash flow. You're not paying for all the kids now anymore. They flew the nest. You got your house mostly paid off, so you're getting a lot of excess discretionary money coming every single month. You're able to handle an unexpected financial emergency. I got $60,000 just sitting in cash. My transmission goes out or something crazy. I can really attack that. So that's great. And remember, your parents. You're in your 50s. Your parents are probably in their 70s and 80s. My mom's 82. they're probably going to need support at some time. So you got to take a look at that. Do you have any plans set up as far as them? And I know we're dealing with that with different situations as far as that goes. So your parents may need support. So that's pre-retirement. So you should start thinking once you get over 50, let's move forward. Concerns: how can I reduce my income taxes? How do I manage portfolio risk? Like a way to reduce your income taxes, maybe a Roth IRA. You can withdraw tax-free upon retirement. How do I manage portfolio risk now that I'm nearing retirement? So if you want to talk to me, what we'll do, create a whole comprehensive financial plan, see where you're at. As we get a little bit longer for retirement, we'll reduce our growth-oriented investments and go more toward income, maybe more toward bonds, things like that. Has my insurance protection kept pace with my needs? Well, if you had term insurance and you're paying on that policy, if your kids are out of the nest and now you're on your own, maybe you don't need that term policy anymore. So you can take a look at something else. So you always want to be examining it. How can I ensure that my business continues after I retire? That's a major thing, a succession plan. You worked hard to build this great business. You maybe want to find somebody, maybe your kid, that could take it over, and how you can pass that through and how you can do that that situation as far as that goes. Can I afford to help my aging parents? So we move forward. Okay, retirement. Congratulations. You did everything right. You saved that money. You now said, I'm done working. I'm done doing all this, and I'm sure everybody would still love to come here even if they're retired, right? Because it's a great organization, but maybe you just kind of want to step back a little bit. You're retired, so what are you going to do with your retirement? You want to maintain your pre-retirement lifestyle. So let's say you're making $100,000 a year during your working life. Well, you don't want to go down to maybe making $1,500 a month, and your retirement doesn't want to be eating bologna and cheese sandwiches and watching reruns, right? I mean, you kind of want to enjoy the similar lifestyle as far as that goes. Want to travel more? Pursue hobbies, go to wonderful places, check it out, travel around. Well, we can't do that now, but when this was made, we used to be able to do that stuff. But when the world comes back, traveling more, I like to see more of the world than Montreal and Tijuana in the United States. I like to travel around, so I like to do that. Managing portfolio risk, protecting assets, very important the older you get. If the market really crashes, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but let's use 2008. 2008, market went down about 40%. 1987, the market went down 35%. Now, when you're young, doesn't matter. I'm going to buy more. This is great. I'm just not going to worry about it, not going to think about it. But if you're in your 80s and you can't afford to do that anymore and you're in risky investments, you need that money to get lifetime income off of. That could be a major problem. So you want to manage portfolio risk a lot more at that point. Excuse me. Keeping pace with inflation. You don't hear much about inflation because of the pandemic, the economy basically imploded. But you're probably, if you're watching the news, you're hearing more about inflation every single day. The Fed said they're on track with their inflation target. The market went down last week because bonds really went up. There's a bond yield called the 10-year yield. The 10-year yield's been down because the economy hasn't been doing anything because of COVID, but because things have been recovering, it went up to about 1.49, 1.5. Now that's a good sign. That shows the economy's recovering, but what the fear is inflation's going to creep up. Now, inflation is kind of like Lex Luthor to the market being Superman. When inflation kicks up, it's going to be more expensive to buy goods and services. The market's driven by corporate earnings. The corporate earnings will be less if they have to spend more, just like your business. So you have to spend more for supplies and spend more in everything else. It cuts into your bottom line. So that's why inflation's a concern. I don't think it's a concern yet, but the 10-year yield going up so much last week kind of created a market sell-off. They're usually, when you see it move up, it's kind of calmed back down, but we'll see what happens moving forward. But keeping pace with inflation is important. What it means as far as this goes is how much was a movie ticket 30 years ago compared to how much is a movie ticket now? Football games. What is it to take a family of four to a Steeler game when we could do that? That's quite a big expenditure. So inflation. So you want to keep track with that, keep up with inflation for your retirement. Concerns. How much can I withdraw from my investments without running out of money? Real soft rule of thumb is about 4% a year. Take that out. Can I minimize income taxes on my withdrawals? That's another thing that really concerns me. I'm 48 and I have a SEP IRA I'm contributing to. I'm a sole proprietor, so I don't have a 401k plan. But what I'm concerned about is that money grows tax deferred. Okay, so that's great. You get tax deferral, you can put a lot of money into it, more than a regular IRA. But what I'm concerned about is when I turn 65, I'm 48 now, I don't know what year that is, you can figure that out, but it's in the future. I'm worried about what the tax rate's going to be. You think about it, we're 30 trillion in debt now. Okay, and we were I remember $14 trillion 10 years ago. That was our national debt 10 years ago. There was a big deal about raising the debt ceiling beyond 14 trillion. We're now 29 trillion. If we're 100 trillion when I'm 65, 150, I'm thinking at some point they may have to raise taxes pretty significantly. And what I'm afraid of is when I start withdrawing that, when you hit now it's 72, it used to be 70 and a half, but now it's 72. One day the IRS is going to say, you got to take that money out because we want our taxes on it. I'm afraid you're going to have to pay a lot of money on that. What if it's a 60% tax rate? What if it's a 70% tax rate? So there's other things that you can do. I'm not going to go into detail, but there's other things you can do where when that time comes, you can get a tax-free withdrawal. And we can talk about that more if you want to meet. All right, so legacy. So you did the retirement. Everything is great. Retirement was awesome. And there will be a day when you're going to leave the earth. What do you want to do as far as legacy? Okay, let's say you've accumulated a lot of money, you've accumulated a lot of assets, you want to pass them on to the next generation. Okay, so legacy, cost-effective, tax-efficient transfer of wealth. Obviously, there's a lot of taxes that could be potentially involved when you pass away. How to pass that wealth on to your beneficiaries. Making sure that you do that correctly. There's a lot of times where people think they have a will and they wrote it many, 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 many years ago. And then it comes time and they maybe change their beneficiaries and the person thinks they're getting something in the will and it could be a mess. So you want to make sure you have all of that in order when you do that. And also positive impact on loved ones in the world, charitable giving. I'm a member of the Turtle Creek Rotary, and what was that gift? It was one of the biggest gifts ever. Somebody in the Turtle Creek Rotary gave $6 million. Wow. Am I right with that, Candy, that number? Somebody gave $6 million to the Rotary. And I think we have one of the biggest gifts ever.
We're still using it today.
Yeah, so that's our Rotary Club, Candy and I. And it was just, so what do you want to do? What's your impact? What do people want to remember you for when you're long gone off this planet? And obviously gifting the children, gifting the grandchildren. There's a lot of ways you can do that. If you have a grandchild, you can even put like $1,000 a month in. You don't think it's a lot. 18, you stop doing it. That money grows. By the time they get to 65 or 70, they have a nice nest egg for retirement. So there's a lot of things you can do. So that's the 4 seasons. All right, concerns. How can I share my wealth with loved ones and our favorite charities? How can I minimize estate settlement and transfer costs? This is an important one. Who can act on my behalf if I'm unable to make medical or financial decisions? We never think about this. You think you're invincible and that's never going to happen. But God forbid, what if something happens one day? What if you wake up, you don't know who you are? What if you have a stroke, God forbid? We're going to knock on wood after I say all this. There we go. But it's something really considered. You have a trusted contact as far as that goes. And obviously, how can I have a positive impact? So, moving forward, that's our life cycle seasons. The planning process. So if this is something you'd like to talk about further, this is the way we do it. We talk, identify personal goals. What do you want to do? Everybody kind of has different goals probably. Prioritize your financial goals. Obviously, gather financial information. Advising, review and monitor progress. We analyze the financial information. Then we have appropriate solutions. And then take necessary actions. Review and monitor progress. And I'm an advisor. A lot of times you have people, they'll get you into a product, you'll never hear from them again. That's not me. I'm a constant financial advisor. I will keep you updated. We'll see what changes in your life because that's the process. Your life's going to be different a year from now than it is now. Your life's going to be different a week from now than it is now. Or your financial situation might change. And so I'm not an advisor where, hey, I'll get you into something and you'll never hear from me again. We like to have it be a lifetime partnership as far as that goes. What season are you in? What are your goals? See, everybody looks happy there. And there's one more thing I'd like to go off topic. I hear this every single time we're in a bull market. The markets are going up and up and up. A lot of people are like, well, my buddy made this recommendation. He's making money in the market on Robinhood, on this GameStop or these stocks. Be very careful with that. There's nothing wrong with it. If you want to put some of your money and speculate in stocks, that's fine. Just don't go crazy and rip your whole financial plan out to do that. Because I've seen this many times where people will do that. They just get caught up with it. Just like when the market's horrible, nobody wants to invest. Like a year ago, when you're hearing every single day the market's down 1,000, 2,000 points, nobody wants to buy. When that was the perfect time to buy. Now it's the opposite. Everybody's going in and want to buy at the all-time high. This GameStop, I don't know if you heard about it. It's a company that was based on the 90s. You go to the mall, you get games, and it was great, but it's a dying business model. Everybody gets things online now, just like everything else. The stock went from $12 all the way up until like $200-300. There was no reason for that except like these chat boards said that they were going to buy it. Just be very careful. And this is really a downer, but I think it's important to talk about. Somebody had an internet trading app and they bought options, and the firm told the kid was 18, and the firm said you owe $750,000, and he saw that, and there was no way possible. He had a cash account. And he bought options, but it said it was a total mistake. But in his mind, he's saying, my life is over, I'm ruined, I'm never going to get out of this, and he killed himself over it, over a mistake. So if you have any problems like that, if some firm's saying you owe money or something, just talk to me before you do anything crazy, and we can work it out. But I think it's something important because a lot of people are doing online, and that's fine. And there's some where you can make a ton of money in these stocks. Just be very careful when you're on these internet applications. What are your concerns? And thank you.
That was such a comprehensive financial